The most powerful person in women's basketball has said absolutely nothing. Not one word. And the woman who drove her fist into Caitlin Clark's throat is now the one demanding an apology. Let that sink in, because that is exactly backwards. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why this isn't a basketball story anymore. It's a war between one player, one superstar, and the entire league office that keeps looking the other way. Let's rewind, because to understand how ugly this got, you have to start 2 nights before the throat ever got touched. June 22nd, Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The Fever are beating the Mercury by 17 in the 4th quarter, and out of nowhere, the whole building explodes. 6 technical fouls in 8 seconds. 1 ejection. It started when Caitlin Clark and DeWanna Bonner got tangled up in the paint. And if you don't know the history there, buckle up, because Bonner used to play for Indiana. She lasted just 9 games in a Fever uniform before it fell apart, and she's been carrying that grudge like a purse ever since. Words got exchanged. Clark clapped toward the crowd to hype them up, and the referees hit her with a technical for it. For clapping, her 5th of the season. Clark called it exactly what it was afterward. Ridiculous. And honestly, she's right. You don't tech a generational talent for celebrating in her own arena. But here's where it gets spicy. And stay with me because this next part is the receipt everyone forgets. While Clark was arguing that call, Sophie Cunningham locked eyes with DeWanna Bonner and just started pointing at her. No words. Just one finger, held dead steady for about 10 straight seconds while Bonner completely lost her composure. Sophie won that stare down so badly it became a meme across the entire internet. And later she admitted, with a grin, that it was, quote, the stupidest thing she's ever done, but that Bonner was losing her mind and she couldn't help herself. That's Sophie Cunningham in a sentence. She will burn the whole thing down to protect her teammate, and we love her for it. Indiana won that night, 86-77. Now, if you're enjoying the breakdown so far, do me one quick favor. Smash that like button and drop the word protect in the comments if you think Caitlin Clark deserves better than what this league keeps handing her. It genuinely helps push this to more real fans. Now back to it. Because what happened 48 hours later makes the pointing match look like a tea party. June 24th. Same building. 2nd quarter, 6 minutes and 52 seconds on the clock. Clark drives the lane, stumbles, and ends up on the floor in a scramble for a loose ball. 3 Mercury players collapse on top of her. And in the middle of that pile, Alyssa Thomas drives her fist straight into Caitlin Clark's throat, then calmly stands up and steps over her body like she's stepping over a crack in the sidewalk. The referees? They saw nothing. No foul, no whistle. The game just kept going while Clark lay there. But that wasn't even the worst of it that night. Seconds later, Clark went up for a 3-pointer and a Mercury defender closed out under her, and she landed awkwardly and tweaked her back. She'd finished with 19 points and 8 assists in just 20 minutes, shooting 3 of 4 from deep before she was ruled out in the 3rd quarter. Phoenix won a heartbreaker, 111-109, and Kelsey Mitchell went absolutely nuclear with 30 points trying to drag Indiana back. But nobody was talking about the score. Because within 24 hours, a slow-motion clip of that fist to the throat was everywhere, and the internet lost its mind. Here's what almost nobody noticed in the chaos. The league office, the same office that teched Clark for clapping 2 nights earlier, suddenly found its whistle. The WNBA reviewed the play, upgraded it to a flagrant foul 2-4, and I'm quoting the league here, recklessly making contact with her fist to the throat area, and suspended Alyssa Thomas 1 game. She served it when Phoenix traveled to face the Toronto Tempo. So think about the timeline. They can't see it live when it happens right in front of them, but they can find it in the film room the next morning. Fever coach Stephanie White was done pretending. She called it egregious. She said the officials admitted to her that they didn't even see it. And then she dropped the line that summed up the whole season. Clark, she said, is simply not called the same way everybody else is called. A fist in the throat, White said, is crazy. It's dangerous. And you'd think that's where the story ends, right? Suspension served, justice done, everybody moves on. But that's not even the wild part. Because when Alyssa Thomas finally sat down to talk about it, she didn't apologize. She did the opposite. She looked into the cameras and said, quote, "I didn't even know that play happened. Read that again." She wants you to believe she genuinely does not know her own fist landed in another woman's throat, on a play that multiple camera angles caught clean, in slow motion, from every direction. That's not an explanation. That's not even a denial. That's a confession wearing a Halloween costume. Because what she's really saying isn't, "It didn't happen." She's saying, "Nobody caught me in the moment." And those are two completely different things. Her entire defense runs on one rule. If the ref's whistle stays in his pocket, it doesn't count. That's not a conscience. That's a loophole. Then she went even further. She called the whole thing basketball. Basketball is meant to be physical, she said. It's a contact sport. And sure, nobody's asking for the game to go soft. But there's a canyon between hard, physical, competitive basketball and a closed fist to somebody's windpipe. One of those is a scouting report. The other one is the kind of thing that gets you a phone call from somebody in a suit. You don't get to hide assault behind the word physical and expect grown adults to nod along. Now here's the pivot. And it's the move this league pulls every single time the accountability train pulls into the station. Thomas turned herself into the victim. And look, I want to be crystal clear here, because this part is real and it matters. Alyssa Thomas has been getting death threats. She says she's been called racial slurs. People have leaked private information. And that is disgusting. It is wrong. And not a single person watching this should ever be part of that. Full stop. Nobody deserves that, ever, over a basketball game. But, and this is the part Thomas conveniently blends together, that conversation and the conversation about what her fist did to Caitlin Clark's throat are two completely separate things. You don't get to use the ugliness of internet trolls to erase your own actions on the court. Both things can be true at once. The threats are wrong and the hit was wrong. One doesn't cancel the other. And here's the detail that flips this whole thing from a player feud into an all-out war with the league. Thomas didn't just defend herself. She went scorched earth on the commissioner. She accused WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert of staying completely silent while players' lives were being threatened. Her words were basically, as usual, "She stays silent, and that's unfortunate when our lives are being threatened." She said she didn't even find out about her own suspension until about 10 minutes before it hit social media. So now you've got a player who hit the league's biggest star, publicly torching the league's boss for doing nothing, while that same boss says nothing back. The most valuable commodity this sport has ever produced gets a fist to the throat. And the person running the whole operation can't be bothered to release a statement. If you want to know why fans are furious, that right there is the entire reason. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. And it comes from inside Caitlin Clark's own locker room. Sophie Cunningham hopped on her podcast and absolutely unloaded on her former team, the Mercury. She said, and I'm quoting her, that people inside the Phoenix organization have told her nobody likes their team this year, that they're the unfriendliest group in the league, and that it's not just outsiders who feel that way. Internal people feel it too. Remember, Sophie spent 6 seasons in Phoenix. She knows where every skeleton is buried. And after the Mercury reportedly put out a since-deleted graphic actually mocking the throat incident, Sophie clearly decided the gloves were off. A USA Today reporter called her comments wildly unprofessional. But scroll the replies and it's a landslide. Fans overwhelmingly took Sophie's side, pointing out that Phoenix mocked a player who got hit in the neck and somehow Sophie's the villain for talking about it. That math doesn't add up, and the fans know it. Now here's what really tells you how divided this league has become. Even former Fever players didn't all rally around Clark. Sydney Colson, who used to run the backup point guard spot right behind Caitlin, went on ESPN and said she didn't think it should have been a flagrant 2 at all. That she grew up in a more physical era and this was the least of what she'd call a flagrant. Chiny Aguamaike sided with Thomas too. So you've got a genuine civil war breaking out. Old school players saying toughen up, a new generation and a massive fan base saying protect your stars. And Caitlin Clark is standing right in the middle of it, taking the hits, literally, while everybody argues about whether the hits even count. So where does all this leave the person who actually got hurt? Because that's who keeps getting lost in all of this. Caitlin Clark left that game with a back injury, and she has not played since. She missed the Fever's next game, a blowout win over the Los Angeles Sparks, 111-87, where Kelsey Mitchell carried the load again. Clark has been limited to individual workouts, no full team practice, and the Fever are eyeing a return around July 5th against the Las Vegas Aces after the Commissioner's Cup break. Coach White said the week off is a blessing in disguise, a chance to get her healthy and back on the floor. And remember, this is the same Caitlin Clark who's averaging a career-best 21 points a game this year, who just set the record for the most consecutive 20-point, 5-assist games in WNBA history. This is a player at the absolute peak of her powers, and instead of celebrating that, we're counting the days until her back stops aching from a hit that never should have happened. So let's put the whole picture together, because it's damning. A superstar gets teched for clapping. 2 nights later, she gets a fist to the throat with no call. The offender serves a single game, refuses to say sorry, refuses to even say Clark's name with any real concern, and then blames the commissioner. The commissioner says nothing. And half the league argues it wasn't a big deal. If that doesn't tell you exactly how much this sport takes Caitlin Clark for granted, nothing will. The truth is simple. You can't build a league on somebody's back and then refuse to protect the back you built it on. Here's my honest take, and you tell me if I'm wrong. Caitlin Clark is the best thing that ever happened to this league, and the league keeps treating her like an inconvenience. Sophie Cunningham gets it. That's why she points. That's why she talks. That's why she'll go to war on a podcast. She's protecting the one player everybody else seems happy to leave on the floor. So do this for me before you go. Hit subscribe because we cover every single chapter of this story the second it breaks, and this one is far from over. Drop a comment and tell me, should the commissioner finally speak up, or has her silence already said everything? I'll see you in the next one.